Hello, everybody. This is Trina Van Atta. I am presenting two grant requests to the Michigan Potato Industry Commission on behalf of Chris Long. He is in the room with you and is available to answer any questions at the end of this presentation. You can also email me at tvanatta@msu.edu. Today, I'm going to be talking about two requests. First, the red-yellow variety commercialization grant, and then the russet variety commercialization grant. And so when we talk about potato variety commercialization, we want to achieve several goals. We want to improve the economic viability of our potato industry. We want to increase the market share for potatoes grown in Michigan, and to do this in a sustainable way. And we want to commercialize yellow flesh, red skin, and russet table varieties. And so to commercialize table stock potatoes, we propose a four-phased approach. In phase one, the potato breeding and selection program screens single hills, and we're not asking for funding for this, but it's just the first phase, and it helps to paint the whole picture of the work we do. In phase two, the Potato Outreach Program takes over by obtaining and evaluating early generation seed at a single site. And in phase three, we evaluate intermediate table stock at several sites around the state. Based on varieties that do well in phase three, we move some of them to phase four, which is mini tuber increase for bulk plantings or seed commercialization. And to do this commercialization work, we rely on a lot of partners. For our early generation seed sources, it's through partnerships with other public breeding programs around the country. And for our intermediate seed sources, we have partnerships with a lot of private companies, which allow us access to some European germplasm or material we otherwise wouldn't be able to access in the United States, and the same public universities as well. And so in phase one, the potato breeding and genetics program plants single hills, which are mini tubers, and they'll dig up the whole plant and evaluate it based on skin color, shape, tuber set, and size. And all of these tubers have PVY resistance from at least one parent. So from the first phase, we are looking for disease resistance. We're looking for increased visual appeal for varieties that are superior than that which is currently commercially available. And in phase two, we conduct the trial at Walther Farms, Cass City, and we grow these single hills that potato breeding has selected, as well as early material from other breeding programs in 15-foot strips. And in 2022, we grew almost 90 and believe that over 40 deserve to be evaluated again and possibly moved up to intermediate trials as seed is available. Each year, we request additional material from not only the potato breeding and genetics program, but from other breeding programs around the country. And we do our selecting in collaboration with the potato breeding and genetics staff, and we'll discuss with growers, to make sure that we're evaluating for skin set, tuber shape that's truly relevant to them and what they want to see. And these pictures show some of the past selections that we've made from our phase two early material trials. And we're really choosing the best of the best, the red skin potatoes that have the visual appeal, the round to oval type, and the smooth skin. In phase three, we moved to slightly larger scale trials. You can see in the image that we're growing 75 to 100-foot strips on a grower farm. And we'd like to do this in 7 locations around the state in 2023. This past year, we evaluated almost 90 entries, and we believe that over 60 merit a second look through continued evaluation, obviously through discussion with the breeder to make sure that they continue to see potential in this variety as we believe it may do well in Michigan. And again, we ask for additional lines each year to screen as many potatoes as we realistically can to collect data on variety performance in a variety of locations. So these next few slides deal with a few varieties that have performed really well in the Potato Outreach Program evaluations over the past few years. Columba is a yellow flesh variety that we've seen in 17 trials in the past 3 growing seasons. And in this uncorrelated data table, you can see that Columba has a consistently higher yield than either Yukon Gold or Queen Anne. It has few oversized potatoes, has very good internals, and potential potential common scab tolerance. And here are some images of columba at 4 trial sites in 2022. It's displayed consistency in terms of yield and appearance, and we believe that it should be further evaluated for commercialization potential. Another variety that we're excited about is Golden Globe, which we've seen 19 times in the past 3 years. And in this uncorrelated data table compared with Yukon Gold and Queen Anne, you can see the high yield, the high proportion of A-sized tubers, and the potential common scab tolerance as well. And here are some images of Golden Globe in 2022. Now, a new variety that we evaluated this year is Natasha, which came from a new partnership with Hansa Seed Company. We saw an above average yield, a really attractive darker yellow flesh, and this potato displays multiple resistances, as you can see in the flyer, including to Rhizoctonia, blackleg, and PVY. And as we move to phase 4, we're proposing a mini tuber increase of the variety NDAF 113484B-1, which I will call NDAF. And we've decided to propose this because we've evaluated NDAF 15 times in the past 3 years. And as you can see in this correlated data set where dark red Norland and NDAF have been grown together in the same field, NDAF displays a higher yield, a high proportion of US #1 tubers, a darker red skin color, and a higher uniformity than dark red Norland. So it has that visual appeal in addition to the agronomic traits. Now, this variety was selected by Greg Porter in Maine, and we propose that the Potato Breeding and Genetics Program will tissue culture this variety to produce about 5,300 mini tubers. These mini tubers will go to Kruger Seed Farms, who will plant them in 2023, and then in 2024, we'll either make some of that seed commercially available or we'll replant to further increase the seed. And here are some images of NDAF that was grown in strip trials around the state this year. And before we move to the russet commercialization methodology, just to summarize, we are looking at varieties first as single hills, then as 15-foot strips, then as 75-foot strips on grower fields. And at each stage, we're selecting that which we think will continue to perform well in Michigan and be varieties that our growers will be able to grow and be successful with in their current operations. So as we move to the russet commercialization methodology, this follows a similar flow. In phase 1, we have our entry point, the NFPT trial, where we get russet material from several breeding programs around the country. Based on performance in this entry point trial, and some other intermediate seed that's available from public breeding programs, we move to phase 2, an intermediate evaluation, where we look at russet varieties on farm around the state. And in phase 3, we move to bulk plantings and commercialization of varieties that have consistently performed well with potential for success in Michigan. So here are some images from the 2022 NFPT trial. All 4 of these varieties have above average yield and had acceptable internal quality, and they have that visual appeal and consistency that shows potential as a russet in Michigan. And the great thing about a screening trial is while you have some winners, you also have some losers. So we saw these varieties in 2022 as well. And while they are unlikely to be successful in Michigan, we've collected a data set on them. And now we know based on agronomic data and visual appeal that these are unlikely to be successful, and we move forward. Some varieties that we're excited about in our intermediate trials include AO8433 for Stowe. This variety has also been called AO8433 for VR, and we've seen it 48 times over the past 6 years. In this uncorrelated data set, you can see AO8433 has a higher US #1 and total yield, as well as a high proportion of A-sized tubers with limited small potatoes. It has a good specific gravity, and it's performed consistently well in this time with a visual appeal. And here are some images of AO8433 from around the state this year in strip trials. Some other varieties that we're excited about are these two new lines, one from Idaho and one from Maine. For both of these, this is the first year that they were evaluated by the Potato Outreach Program. A12327 was evaluated at 9 locations and had the highest US number one and total yield in the russet trial this year. AF 6855 was only evaluated at 2 locations, but also had a very high yield. And so these varieties will be further evaluated to see if they have, commercialization potential in Michigan. In phase three, we propose moving towards russet commercialization of CO 185 1RU. This comes from Colorado State University. And in the past, we've done bulk plantings with Walther Farms and Leonard Ag, as well as strip trials at the Potato Outreach Program. So as you can see in this data set, we have evaluated this potato 19 times from 2020 to 2022. And in this uncorrelated data set, you can see a high proportion of A-sized tubers, a high specific gravity, a good internal quality. And while it doesn't have the highest yield, it has a strong visual appeal. And we believe that it merits further evaluation. Based on feedback from growers who've conducted bulk plantings, there's continued interest in this variety. Here are some photos of it in 2022. And as we move forward in the future, not just for the next year, for the work we'd like to do in 2023, but for really the mission of our program, we think it's critical that we screen these russet and table stock varieties early and then move them to intermediate and advanced phases so that we can sit on a really robust data set and stand behind our conclusions when we say this variety has the potential to be successful in Michigan, or this variety can fit into your farm operation based on, several years of data at several different farms. And so we would like to continue the NFPT trial and the early generation table stock variety selection. And especially the early generation table stock variety selection trial is critical because it allows us to follow along with other breeding programs. So if we see a red skin or a yellow flesh variety that we're excited about, we're able to evaluate it on a small scale for maybe 3 or 4 years until the breeder has enough commercially available seed that they can give us the seed for a larger plot. But this wouldn't be the first year then that we've seen it. We'd be able to sit on a robust data set and say, yes, we're very interested in this. We'd like to partner with you and continue to have access to this seed and be able to move quickly if and when that seed becomes commercially available. We also look towards increased screening of European germplasm through our partnership with private potato breeding companies, since at this time we are unable to import, quarantine, and grow out European material. So we rely on our partnerships to have access to that diverse germplasm. And as we look towards bulk plantings and commercial availability of CO 185 and NDAF, these are 2 great examples of the success, not just of the Potato Outreach Program, but of the partnership between the Potato Outreach Program, the Commission, and growers around the state, working together each year to confirm that these 2 varieties still have commercialization potential, still continue to display promising traits, is really a strength of our industry. And as always, the Potato Outreach Program wants to conduct this work with an eye towards safety. We prefer to plant certified seed whenever possible, and we won't plant seed that's diseased or infested. We maintain good cultural practices by cleaning our machinery, our equipment, and our shoes as we move from plot to plot. And during the growing season, when we visit our plot, we always get grower permission, and we're looking for any pest or disease issues that may pop up that we can resolve in conversation with the grower. And finally, you can find all of our variety data at msupotato.medius.re. And you can visit our website at canr.msu.edu/potato outreach. And we do all of this work in partnership with a lot of great collaborators, and we continue to be grateful for our partnership with the Potato Industry Commission. I'm about to end this recording. Chris is able to address any questions you may have, and again, you can contact me. Thank you.